All right, looks like we got everything started here. I'm going to start with our disclaimer. As always, any of the dollar amounts that I speak are not in any way, shape, or form telling you what to charge, how you should run your business, anything. They are only for demonstrational purposes. So today's webinar, we're going to discuss wholesale estimating, kind of how to put it into Mobile Tech RX, how to walk it through, and go from work order into invoicing. For those of you that have been tuning in a lot, you'll notice that I don't quite look like the light bulb anymore. I have stepped up my webcam game, mostly so I don't look like a light bulb anymore. I'm pale enough. I don't need to run around here looking like Casper the Friendly Ghost. All right, we're gonna I'm gonna do this on my iPad as usual, simply because it's a much larger screen and I won't have to stare at it near as often. Everything works the same between iPad and iPhone, and it's gonna be the same on Android, on the phone and the tablet as well. Now, I have been given notice, and I'll break this out because I know I get asked this a lot, and feel free to ask any questions here and on Facebook. But next week, we should have a final round of Apple bug fixes, and you should have the new Android build where these will be all of the screens that you see in Android as well. And this is going to start to happen next week. So first and foremost, when you are dealing with your wholesale customers, you're going to want to make sure and put them in as wholesale. Well, I'm going to use this L&P Motors. This was a friend of mine's small dealership. They no longer exist. But when you're putting them in, make sure that you put them in here as a wholesale in your category. That way you can separate and see and do those reports later on between your retail and wholesale customers. You're also going to be able to set your rates. Now you see here we got a labor rate of $1 per hour, and that, I think that was just I mistyped that somewhere. But ultimately, for a wholesale account like this, the labor rates, those top few fields are not going to be important. You're not going to worry about that tax rate. Discount rate could apply. Some of you do use a discount rate, especially if you're doing wholesale for body shops, that sort of stuff. But each of these that you see down here, PDR, hail, Precedent, R&I, paint, body, wheels, tint, glass, all of those, you can preset some sort of pricing guide per client. And you can do that right here within the app, or I'm going to pop over under the back office portal here in just a little bit and show that to you as well. But here I preset some flat fees and some panel pricing fees. Now this is for your paintless dent repair. When you're just doing your lot walks, you're walking in there, you can set those flat fees and a panel price. So a flat fee is going to cover the whole car, everything that you do on it for that flat fee. The panel price is each time you click a panel, it's going to add that dollar amount onto that estimate for each panel. This flat fee comes into place in two ways. Even if you charge that just alone, or say you have a small car lot that got hit with hail and you offered to repair the whole lot for a single price, you could just put that flat fee in there, and I'll go through that when we get into the estimating system. But then you're not having to add that dollar amount each single time. You can set those default matrices. For those that know who David Shalat is, his wholesale matrix is now in here. Now this is in the large dent calculator in the Precedent, and it's a wholesale large dent for anything above that, and we'll kind of break into that just a little bit further. For R&Is on all of my wholesale stuff, I've always used the item pricing, not labor pricing in my, that way I'm just making a note. You know, a lot of you guys are including it, but you have to take something apart. Sometimes it's nice to be able to put in that R&I and just say it with no labor time, no dollar amount attached to it, but just to give them a note that says, hey, I did take this apart and you got that part for free. Paint and body, we do have several different fees. Right now, this is still getting finalized in the programming, so these are not carrying through into the app. Hopefully next week that will all change. For wheel repair people, when you get in here, you can preset, if you're working for strictly for your dealers and doing your wholesale accounts, and you've got a preset price, it doesn't matter which one of these fees that you have that you like to do, you can just go ahead and preset that price for that client. And then it's just point and click. The idea on the wholesale end of this, and why we have so many of these, is we want point and click. We want fast. We want speed. When you're on a lot and you're walking through that lot, you don't want to type into here all day long. So glass, if you're doing some chip repairs, you can do your first repair and additional repairs and set that up for your wholesale clients. Window tint people, you can just add your flat pricing right there in the clients. Now we're going to pop over here and show this right in your back office portal as well. So when you're on your home page in your back office, you're going to go up here to the clients section right above that and click on that. And when you get this side screen that pops up, you're going to go right here into the rates. And then everything that I just showed you in the app is right here within the back office. Now, at the moment, because that programming from this changeover that I was discussing earlier, and Android people, obviously you don't have this yet, but Apple, you're going to need to pop back and forth just over these next couple of days. If you're not having one rate setting, make sure that you set them both in the app and the back office. By next week, that should really tailor down where you can set in either or, and that'll the finale of that programming will be done. But when you set that in, and you can just set all of your rates via that client. And don't forget to add those additional contacts. For those of you that wholesale is a body shop or a dealership, you want to make sure you add all the contacts. You want to add in the secretary, you need the service manager, you need the estimator, you might need the accounting department. All of that, you can set these in and just add these additional contacts and put in their name, their job title, phone number, email. Ultimately, you just need the name and the email address, and then every time you go to email anything off, you'll get all of those same people for that company. It really makes it convenient that you only add it one time here. All right, let's go back into the iPad and let's discuss some actual estimating. Oh, you can do it, computers. Love these things. All right, when we're starting from our home screen, we're just going to go right into new estimate. We're going to select a client. We'll add in our dealership. Now, I know not all of you get the option to open the doors. Not every dealership has them open, have the ability to scan that VIN. But a lot of you guys will have the VIN number available on a sheet. And if so, you can just type that in. Let me pop up some little arrows here and make sure that we're. But right here, you can just add, if you click this box, you can add that. We put our own keyboard. You can add that VIN manually. We put in our own keyboard that's capped and got the numbers and letters so that you can just type that in. And obviously, y'all are seeing this right here, this duplicate VIN found. Now, this is scanning the closed invoices inside of Mobile Tech RX. Now, we are modifying this to actually scan through open invoices as well as open estimates. But for now, it is just doing the closed invoices. So you have a record if you've ever fixed that car before. So you just tap OK on that. It's going to go ahead, load in that VIN number, put in that color, pops up the car. Now, if you need to add the stock number, you can just type that in. If you're working at an area that has that ability and did do a barcode, you can just scan the barcode in. Like, I just scan the VIN back in just for the fun of it because I don't have another code here. But that shows you how that stock RO number scanner really plays into it and really works. For wholesale, you really aren't going to need the rest of these. This is mostly for those of you that are doing retail. But say if you're working for one of your wholesale accounts and that car has come in from the drive and the dealership brought it back at a door dent and it was sold and they brought it back, you could actually fill this out just as a cover yourself. So going into the services, you can see in the PDR, it automatically pops up the pricing because that is the pricing. So we'll just go ahead, we'll start right here. We put in the flat pricing for those of you that are going to do flat pricing on your PDR. Then you're just marking down the panels. Okay, I fixed a dent in this fender, I fixed a dent in this door. If you didn't mean to, just tap it again. Remember, the right and the left sides of the screen are both interactive, so it doesn't matter. If you're doing the panel pricing, we'll wipe that out. Notice the dollar amounts aren't being shown. Nothing's being selected until we click on it. Then it automatically adds that dollar amount. And that was that same dollar amount that we put in under that client's name, whether we did it in the back office or the app. But it's that simple. And you could just go right down the list and mark every panel that you are repairing. And it automatically puts those dollars in. You notice it'll kick up that keyboard and you can make a change. If that dent was over your small size, whatever agreement that you have, it is that simple. You just tap and change. When you're getting into price dent, you see that up top, we got the Dave Shalott wholesale matrix. We're gonna go ahead, we're gonna pop in, we're gonna view that and understand what it is and compare this to the other large dent calculators that are out there that are preloaded, whether you make your own, but you can see the difference. Now, instead of changing every inch, we see this is going up to 4 inch, 2 to 4 inch. Anything below that is figured into your normal pricing, whether it's per panel or your overall charges. But this goes above. Dave made this. Read through it, print it out if you need to. If you've never seen one of these, I would suggest hook your tablet up to a printer, print this out, read it, understand it, see if it works for you, see if how he has it broke down works for you and your company. But then it's just a matter of going in, you click in the panel, and you can see as we add up, we hit 4 inches, the price stays the same. Once we go to 5, that's when it changes. You have a couple of factors, aluminum and high strength steel. Those are the two things that really get added in. See how Dave doesn't have that selection. However, you get to mark that because it's something that you get to tell your dealer, hey, that was a large dent. It was really deep, but we're doing it for this price. It's outside of our set pricing. If you want to compare that and really see the difference, if we change this matrix and go right here into a standard, this is one of the most popular large dent calculators. And you can see that large change. So you can understand the difference between wholesale and retail when it comes to that pricing. Again, R&I, like I said, for my wholesale deals, I always like to just have it on item pricing. And then here I could just go ahead and put in whatever it is that I did that I threw in. So if I was doing a large hood repair, anything along those lines, I could go ahead and just click that. Hey, I took that insulator out. I didn't charge you for it. I just want this for record keeping. Your records, my records. We're doing this all for record keeping. Parts is really not going to come into play into a wholesale. If you did, I mean, congratulations, you're doing your wholesale right and tight. It's not something that ever happened for me. Paint and body, this is mostly going to be for you bumper repair techs and paint touch-up guys. Now, again, we could set our pricing style in that by that client, whether it's going to be a flat price, panel price, item price, and very, very few of you are going to be using labor pricing. However, it is an option for you to do. But when it comes to flat pricing, you're just going to go ahead, put in your price, and then you're just going to tap on the panels that you're going to repair, and then mark whatever it is that you did, whether you just did a scratch removal with a touch up and buff and you did it for that dollar amount. If you're doing panel pricing, remember, right and left sides of those screens click together. So here you can just say that you did a repair and a paint, and then you're going to put in your pricing. Now you can see we did the entire vehicle. That's going to be the same as any other overall pricing. That was just me not paying attention to which line I clicked. Don't do that when you're out there on your lots. Pay attention. I'll lecture myself later after I get off. All right. So just that quick, that easy. When you're doing your paint touch up, get in there, mark it, keep a record of what you're doing. If you didn't mean to tap something, hit the no damage, erase it right away. Wheel repairs. Remember, I filled out just a couple of quick fields when we were in wheel repair. So here they pop up: cosmetic repair and to straighten. So you can pre-fill those, and then when you're just running around the lot, it's a matter of tapping which wheel on each car that you put into the system, and you preloaded that pricing right into the system. Glass guys, got it marked in. If you're doing that rock chip repair, and this doesn't matter if glass is your sole business or if you've added rock chip repair in as a secondary form. I know a lot of you interior repair people, the door dent guys, several paint touch-up companies, a lot of you have added this. So you can just go in, you can mark where that is. If you want, you can go ahead and actually put the type of damage that it was. Then you've marked it. You've done your first repair. If you need to add a second, just like we added before, there, our secondary price came in, and we can go ahead and put those markers just as our reference. And now we've added both rock chip repairs to that windshield. Just that easy. We don't have to remember all of our pricing, or we don't have to type it in every single time. We can just go ahead and add it straight in. Now, window tint, we don't have it set just yet where you can put in that price. For those of you doing wholesale stuff, we are programming all of those charges in where you can preset that. But here, if you're doing just the windshield, and then you can mark that you did the visor strip only and record exactly what type and what the percentage was that you added into it. And then just click the dollar box and add your fee. Now, the one thing that I would advise all of you to start a new habit, and I am guilty of this myself when doing wholesales. When we are walking our lots, we are speeding through there. Now, this is only going to really matter for those of you that need that service manager or the used car manager to sign off on them, but use the photos. And it doesn't matter, wheels, all around the vehicle, the individual panels. You can do the before, after. But the reports that we get back, I deal with so many people that use Mobile Tech RX, and since we implemented this and had all the photos into it way back a couple of years ago, and we started presetting all the photos, lot walkers started taking more photos of those door dents. And when they go in and take that estimate in on the device, when you're on the tablet or the phone, and that sales manager can look at those dents right there without having to get up and go outside and look at that car. Some of them can remember, some of them can't. But guys have found that by having that photo and getting down there, taking that photo however you need to, you know, some of them getting low, you know, that door dent could be low, might not look like much when you're standing up, but when you get down on it at an eye level, it can really show, it can change. It looks a lot more dramatic. Same with the wheel repair. When you're down there and you get down at that wheel level, instead of standing back, you know, and taking the photo like this, get down, get up there, show those marks, show those, that curb rash, you know, get in there, let that be seen. on that bumper, you know, the scratches aren't always on the top, they're on the bottom. Get down. I know, you know, we beat our knees up, but get down there. You know, I hate to use the term get down on your knees, fellas, but you know, sometimes it's money. This is how we make our living. You know, make sure that you get and can capture as much work as you possibly can. Our comparative pricing really isn't going to come into line. Those of you that are doing the bulk of this stuff in wholesale, you really don't need to worry about it too much. Back at the estimate home screen, so we can go ahead down here in the bottom right. You see the little card with the word add under it. Just like that, we can go ahead and we can add another car. We're just going to keep adding the same Corolla because we can't beat on it often enough. In fact, I've never added the same car just to see what happens. So, but there, we can add a second car right onto that estimate. We can keep adding car after car after car after car. The most that I've ever been informed that somebody has done was 170. Now, I ultimately do not recommend going to that level. 170 cars gets pretty outrageous, and it gets very, very tough to see. Now, I'm going to pop in here. Let's take a look at the print preview and the reason behind this. So, the top bar that you see here, let me get another pointer in. So this top bar under the services line that you're seeing right here in the PDF, you know, we've got the PDR, the breakdown into here, wheels, paint, body. It's all leading up to right in here. Tint, you notice they're not down here in these other lines, like the glass chip repair, the R&Is, those are all going to be in the body. Hail is going to break down in the body. The reason why we put all of this right here in this line is so you see car number 2 and it had a preset price. We can get 10 cars on a single page. And that's the reason why it only prints out into this bar. So if you normally do wholesale, but then you skip over and do retail, and you're curious why it pops up into here, that is the reason why. If you're doing price ident, it's going to read down here. If you're going to do hail, it's going to read down in here. Your R&Is and the labor fields in paint and body are going to get broken down heavily through here. And it will make your estimate longer. So for wholesale purposes, we put everything right here so that we can try and get 10 cars on a single page, which, by the way, that's about all that I personally would recommend that you put on a single estimate or an invoice at a time. And the reason for that is what was discovered was when you got to 170 cars in a single estimate, single invoice, everybody got boggled into it and got lost. It was so huge at that 17 pages and everybody got lost. It was easier when they broke them down into sections of 10 or 20 where it was 1 or 2 pages. And it just seemed to go that way for everybody involved in that repair. So that's the reason why those are only up there in that top. That is specifically for a wholesale setup and so that you guys can see everything in one particular location. Now, the green checks, the red X, that's so that if you have to get permission, they can just come in here and mark yes and no's. And once they marked yes or no, then you have proof. It's going to stay in your closed estimate list that, hey, I looked at this car 3 months ago. And that's why we're changing around on that bin scan to actually look through that so that you guys, this other 18 Toyota Corolla that we put in there, it could be sitting on that lot a month from now. And you're going to want to know that so that you could just go ahead, go in there and say, hey, I looked at that thing 3 months ago. I put it back on the estimate today because it still hasn't sold and it still looks ugly. So if you need a signature, you can go ahead and get that signature. Otherwise, once they are selected, you can hit that create work order. This is something that I should mention right over here in the big gray box. When you are on the phone or the tablet, on the phone, it's going to be at the very top. But sticker shock, this is big because this got asked of us a lot, and it took to this level right here on this, the full dollar amount if you don't want the dealer seeing that sticker shock, especially when you have 10, 11 cars into a single estimate, just press and hold, and away it goes. If you want it back, press where it was. But you can make it go away, and it does that on invoice too, and I'll show that when we get into the invoice. But once they're approved, remember, if you don't want that seen, make sure you take that away before you hand your device over to that service manager. We're going to go ahead, we're going to move this Corolla over into a work order. Now, a lot of you guys that are doing wholesale stuff, a lot of you ask, hey, can we skip this step? No. It's just a big programming right now. It is much cheaper. We are a small company. We do not charge a lot for our services. So it is easier to have one setup for programming. In the future, yes, possibly. When we're bigger and badder and have tons of money, then yeah, things will change. But for now, it's all going to stay this way. So here we have several different ways for you guys to add cars into a invoice. We can click these three dots at the top, and we can say invoice work order, and from there we can select those work orders, and then we can say invoice them. Now, you are going to get this screen only if you have other open invoices for that same client. So this time I picked Big Shop just to show, and we can see here that we do have other invoices that are open for Big Shop. We've got 3 open ones, and we have create new invoice. So if I click any one of these, it's going to add it to that. You can see right here, we've got 2 cars on this invoice. We've got only 1 car on this invoice. So if I choose to, let's go ahead, let's just add it to this second invoice. So I just click right to the right of that, boom. So here we go. This is what we now have for that invoice. Now I got 3 cars on a single invoice. So now let's go back to our list of work orders. So this is the one that we just filled out into there. If we're into that work order, if we need to make changes, we can make any changes by clicking onto them. We're back in, just like we did when writing our initial estimate. We can just go ahead and click invoice to here. Obviously, I didn't have any open invoices, so now I've just created a brand new invoice right away. Now the other way, the third and final way, is right here. We're going to take this very top work order, Big Shop, and this doesn't matter if it's wholesale, retail, whatever you do. We're just going to touch it, and we're going to slide that whole work order over. We can delete it if that car no longer applies, or we can just click invoice the work order. Lots of different ways. Trying to speed this up for you guys. I know some of you on the adding multiple cars, you know, there was a couple extra steps, but we've really done everything that we can to speed this up for you. So you can see on that number 2 invoice down there for Big Shop, we now have 3 cars on it. We added 2 to that last one. We're just going to go ahead and add this one right to this first one. So from there, if we need to, we can email, we can print, we can add a discount. This company gets a killer discount. If we need to add tax, take tax away, you know, for whatever reason. I think Canada, those of you who are doing wholesale, you still have a tax in Canada. So for those of you who are curious here in the US as to why, that's why you see that. Now, again, you can close that invoice by a signature, or you can just go ahead and tap the close. And then if you need to, you can add your PO just by tapping that box. But let's go back into our list of invoices. So we have this one for L&P Motors. Remember, before we want them to sign it, we want to get rid of that big price. So we're just going to tap and hold right there. This is an open invoice. Say something went wrong. It wasn't supposed to get moved over in the invoice. Anyhow, you need to make an edit right there in the invoice. Edit it, just like you did before. You can make those edits right on that open invoice. Now, once it's closed, It's locked, you can't do anything with, but you can now edit an open invoice. Now that isn't with this edit box. The edit box is actually going to get in there and change the assigned to dollar amounts. As a one-man band, you're not going to worry about that. Should you need it, if you have multiple employees, anything like that, you can make those changes. But to change the dollars on the line, just go down to the services and just tap that line. Make that change. I just removed that service. So very simply, you can make those changes. We'll close it with the signature this time just for the sport factor. And then now you can't make that change anymore. If you need to, you can view the signature right there. If you open a closed invoice that was closed via signature, you will remove that signature. So just beware of that. If you have to make any changes after you closed it, it will remove that signature. Again, you can add your PO number right up top. You can print, you can email it, you can do the print preview. When you do that print preview, all of your information is coming up right into there. So there you see that stock, the RO number, and the signature. That captured signature will always show on the PDF. And then you can see up here in the upper right-hand corner, right over here, the PO number is now put in there. You can even have that status. So if you're marking them paid, unpaid on the spot, for those of you capturing a check right away, you can go ahead and have that marked. All right. That kind of does our walkthrough on wholesale estimating. Any other question? I got a Facebook question, 1 second here. Does Mobile Tech RX work with QuickBooks yet for tech back in the UK? Sean at Dent Heaven. No, not QuickBooks UK, and there are issues with QuickBooks Canada as well. QuickBooks in other countries can sometimes be a little on the finicky side. So right now for Europe, the only thing that we integrate into is Hero in the back office. I know that we're looking and talking with more companies, but I can't tell you what kind of time frame that we're going to have out of that. All right, it looks like that's kind of our only question. Wholesale guys, hit us up. Make sure, like us on Facebook. This is being recorded. It's going to be on our YouTube channel. It'll be on our Facebook channel. Give us the feedback. Tell us the good, bad, the ugly. We're adults. We can handle it. I take a few shots in the old twig and berries once in a while from stuff that people don't like, from stuff that I don't like, you know. But if you get it, throw it in, put it on our Facebook page. Friend me, John Renstrom. Just friend me, send me a private message. I mean, they were popping up right there. You see it pops up on my tablet. When I had one pop up, it's on my Facebook feed. It pops up on my phone. I see those all the time. I can answer any general usage questions for you. If it's very complicated, I'll put you in touch with our tech support people. If there's stuff that you think needs to be changed or added to make things smoother, better, cleaner, faster, we're all about speed in the field. You know, we're working with different things to try to make putting VIN numbers in much easier for lot walking. Any suggestions, feedback, negative, positive, hit us with it. We can take it. So like us, follow us, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I don't do anything live on YouTube. Quite frankly, I'm not smart enough. I'm working on it, but take care. We'll see y'all next week. I'll get figured up and post up for our webinar next week. So take care. Hope you all have a great week. Survive the cold weather if you're up north. Enjoy the sunshine when you're down south. Take care, everybody.